Are you looking for a Spanish zombie comedy on Netflix? Well, say no more. Valley of the Dead. So here we are, Spain, 1938, not the best of times, Civil War, and all the fun stuff that comes with that. No, not really. It wasn't that good, and yet life must go on. We're introduced to our MC, Jane, a fascist captain and lawyer. He's sent on a mission to deliver a very important envelope through very dangerous territory, accompanied along with De Cruz, a young teenage boy who will drive for Captain Jane since he doesn't even know how to. And then after that, you guessed it, flesh-eating zombies that were created in Nazi experiments. How typical. Anyways, as zombie survival movies always go, the characters are joined by other survivors in which we get this ragtag team followed along with the shooting, fighting, running, hiding, all throughout the movie. You know, the usual stuff with these zombie flicks. You know, I'm a fan of period piece films, so with that, I do like the 1930s setting here. The acting is decent, but the characters are lacking here. I didn't care for them, and there needs to be more to them, especially our main character who we don't get to spend a whole lot of time with. And I kind of like him, but then again, not really or not so much as I would have liked, as he is lacking, and that's not the actor's fault, but very much the writers here. There isn't really much about him or the other characters in the group for that matter. The character Captain Jane is likable and does what he can, but doesn't have much. If the movie would have given extra thought in making their characters more solid here, then this would have helped. There's a movie that comes to mind that I felt had this movie could have learned from and how to handle its characters in a fun way while facing off zombies, which would be the film
Welcome to slavery.
No thanks. I already had a wife.
Dust of Dawn, the first one, of course. You had the characters that were decently crafted and entertaining, such as the Gecko brothers, played by George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino, not to mention Harvey Keitel, the priest, and his family. These characters were thrown into a world where they were faced up against vampires, and the dialogue and scenarios worked and were entertaining because of how these characters were created and crafted, and I think had Valley of the Dead took this approach, it would have been enjoyable. Now, there are rare moments in the Valley of the Dead movie where the surviving group of characters kind of go back and forth with their arguing, which were the only parts that I actually kind of liked. The movie felt more like a video game than a movie, which turns out it is a video game, and I had no idea. This movie is an hour and 41 minutes, and trust me, you are going to be feeling every bit of that. And yes, of course, the plot is predictable. I know, I've mentioned that this is a zombie comedy film, but the movie itself doesn't really know which of the two to be, even if it wants to be both, which is confusing. And using Roger Ebert's 4-star rating system here, I would give this movie 1 out of 4 stars. For you Nazi zombie lovers out there, have at this, as you may get something out of it. Had there been more to the characters here, I probably would have liked it, I guess. When it comes to these zombie apocalypse stories, a lot of the ground this film covers is just all too familiar territory, but with just a little bit of comedy sprinkled on top of it. If that sounds like a delicious treat to you, then be my guest. I'm just saying.